This is just a few questions. Just a few questions. I'm your host, Marc Sims, and I have Zack Isaacs on the line. Isaac. I like saying Isaacs,
Yes.
but it's Isaac. See, I
No,
need
it's Isaacs. You had it right the first
well, I
time.
need a teleprompter and somebody to direct me and all that kind of
Well,
good stuff. That's what we need. That's what we need, man. You concerned about? You said you want to talk about this 2020 census here in Chicago. What? What's up with that, man? Why do you care
well,
about the 2020 census?
one of my predictions with the 2020 census is that Chicago is going to fall to number four in for the nation's fourth largest city. The state of Illinois has already fallen to the sixth largest state, switched places with Pennsylvania last year. So they've already figured out that based on population shift, that Illinois is no longer the fifth most populated state. We're sixth. We switched with Pennsylvania because of everybody's moving to Philly.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know about all of that, but who cares?
But you know, if we're losing our status as the fifth largest state, of course Chicago's going to lose its status as the third largest city because most Chicagoans are moving to Houston, including my older brother.
Yeah, well,
He
it's
moved
okay.
there in 2008, and he's
Yeah,
not coming back. He's been
it,
there
it,
11 years, and he loves it.
it doesn't matter. They don't shovel snow in Houston. When I was a child, this was the
You know
second.
what? That's an excuse. Black folks moved up here and knew about the snow during the Great Migration in 1916.
But they
Black
left.
people moved up here for years, and Chicago used to have worse winters before I was born in 1984. Due to global warming, you see how we're having 50-degree temperatures now around Christmas. The past 2, 3 years, we didn't have a major snowfall until February or March. We had
I know.
balmy
I know.
temperatures in December and January for at least the past 2, 3 years. So I don't think it's just the winters because our winters have shifted and changed.
I know.
Yeah,
But
I
some, but
think
people, but
people are
people.
using that as an excuse because
I know.
deep down inside they don't like the high taxes, they don't like the high crime rate, they don't like the lack of opportunities, the gentrification, and all the other factors that shut black people out. This city doesn't work for black people anymore as it did 40, 50 years ago. That's the real reason why black people leave Chicago. Weather, that's an excuse. That's an excuse.
Yeah, yeah. I should ask you before we got started. Are you on speakerphone, man?
No.
You're not. Okay, so phone sounds crappy. Now, I know you got pizza cooking, so we got to get this podcast out the way. You got pizza coming out the oven. No, I agree with
Right.
you because it's a lot. It's a reason. It's a lot of reason why people move. I meet people who come from. These are not African Americans. What do we call them now? ADOS, AOS, or ADOS or something. That's what we call ourselves now.
My history starts before slavery.
I know. I know.
So as much
But
as we do acknowledge that our ancestors were slaves, our ancestors did something before they were kidnapped or before they
I
were
know.
sold off by certain Africans.
But
So I don't take that label because our ancestors wouldn't have wanted to have been known as slaves. They wanted to have been known as kings, queens in Africa, as mathematicians, who they originally were. You have to address people by their original titles, not the titles that they were changed to because no human being has any business owning another human being in the first place. So we shouldn't even acknowledge
what
the
you?
foolishness that one race of people thought they were superior to another.
I know. By you
I
saying,
don't, I don't, I don't do ADOS.
I
I
know.
know my ancestors. Some of them were slaves, but when I do my family history, like I talked to you in a previous podcast about, I know all of them were not slaves. All of them were not black. So no, I don't align with the ADOS title, and a lot of black people who are really conscious don't use that title either. It's being used politically for reparations. That's the reason why people are using ADOS. All of a sudden, all these acronyms. I can't keep up with all the acronyms.
I know.
It's too many for me.
By you saying that, Zach, by you just saying what you just said, it doesn't matter if all the black people leave Chicago. It don't matter, man. It really doesn't. Does it?
But like you've taught me, everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah,
Better starts on the inside.
I know.
That's the problem with every human being, not just black people,
Right,
white people relocate for better, Asian people, everybody of
right.
every color, every social economic background says, I'm going to go somewhere else and it's going to make me better on the inside. But you know the old saying, you can take the person out the environment, but you can't take the environment out of the person. If you're not willing to change for the better on the inside, you can move to Zimbabwe. You can move to Alaska. It's not going to matter. You're not better on the inside. I teach school where single mothers think that sending their child to a different school with white folks, not a black educated man like me who would be their role model, with white folks is going to make things better. They need to know that better is on the inside. And that's the problem with me, with you, with humanity. Because we think that if we go to the store out in Orland about white people, it's better. If we move out to Evergreen Park with white people, it's better. If we move down south with white people, it's better. Better is on the inside. Because you're going to bring that same ignorant mindset to wherever you live.
Well, I'm
And
gonna.
I'm just trying to get black people and people of all colors, all genders to see that. But they won't.
I know. There's a person I want to get on the show next month, and I want him to talk about, because the best conversations off the air, that a lot of African Americans, some professional African Americans, who were born maybe in the '90s or definitely late '80s, move out of Chicago because the town Chicago is just too racist. And we don't really talk about the racist part of the racist northern cities like Chicago. And people say, "Come on, it's 2029. I ain't got to take this racism like my grandfather and great grandfather. I'm out of here." Just like they left the South for the racism. You know what I'm saying? So some people leave in the North for the racism.
Well, racism comes from a power structure. Racism is not surface level, it's root level. We keep addressing white supremacy at the surface level, whether it's police brutality shooting, somebody gets called the N word and videotapes it. That's surface level. The root level of racism and colonialism across the world and imperialism comes from power struggles, power structures, and mindsets. People think they're superior to another human being because they have been brainwashed or taught from some other source. I teach young kids who are 6 years old. They're not racist for the most part because they haven't been taught yet. Some of their parents might be, but they love each other. You have black and white kids in my class who hug each other, who love each other because they're not racist yet because they have not been socialized yet. It's a social construct for a white person to think that he or she is superior to somebody else because of their race. And that creates racism. And racism isn't just with conservatives, it's with liberals. Anything that divides black people and creates this Willie Lynch mindset where we won't work together allows us to be oppressed. We play a role in our own oppression, whether we want to admit it or not. Because white people can't be superior unless we assume the inferior role. I refuse it.
I know.
Either I'm going to be equals with white people or I'm not going to play the game with them at all.
I,
I,
I
I don't come in with the yes, a master, yes, a boss man, how you doing today, sir, routine. I let white people know that my ancestors invented math. My ancestors invented astronomy and language. My ancestors were some of the first teachers and singers in the world. I don't play those kind of games with white people, but a lot of black people do because they want to be good Negropeans and they want to name their children European names for the resume so they'll get hired and want to socialize them in Greek organization, all of that foolishness. No, I know I don't need any of that except my ancestry and my legacy that I'm trying to promote throughout the years. That's it, period.
one of the things I'm going to do, Zach, next year, I'm going to try to make a concerted effort next year is to interview a lot of different people because a lot of African Americans are like me. Not I may be in the minority. A lot of folks, I hope to live another 40 years at least, and we're going to stay in Chicago. So those of us who are going to stay, in spite, most of us are going to probably leave or pass away at some point in this town. And our population, the black population, will continue to shrink in Chicago. But those of us who are planning to stay, Zach, what should we do?
Hello.
Oh, what happened?
No, I was checking the pizza.
Uh, oh, all right, okay, cool.
I'm
We
sorry, I
back.
missed the question.
All right, the question, that's good, man. That's good. I'm gonna keep this in the podcast. No, I was saying the black population is going to decrease. They're going to continue to decrease. So what should the ones of us, those of us who wants to stay, all the Negroes who want to stay in Chicago, don't want to move, what should we do to make our community more vibrant, more whatever, more dynamic, and not known for crime? What should we do?
Hey, let's start the conversation what you and I are doing right now. And in the conversation, create some goals. Write them down. Write that. Don't just speak the goals. Write it down because when you write it down, you can remember it. Because we all say a lot of great things, but we forget them. But when you say something cool and you write it down, then you're held accountable to make it come to pass. And on that note, thanks for having me. I got to go get the pizza out the oven.